asking you all these things because after this talk, I want you to realize that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you do. Because what you're going to have to do is just to build the component and share that with your team, right? It doesn't matter. So let's stop that war right away. So a quick agenda, because we only have 25 minutes. And basically, this talk, it's designed for a good hour, and then we go a little bit into demos. So I'm going to speed it up because I want you to see a bit more the code part. But I'm going to brush a little bit things about web component, showing you how old it is, and then a bit how new it is right now. So we're going to go through all these elements of the agenda. The most important part will be the specifications, and we're going to focus only on custom element and shadow DOM, okay? So, and then a quick reference on the framework world. I just asked question right now. We saw kind of React 1, Angular 2nd, Vue 3rd, and once again, that's part of that line right there. But that war should end, and right now, that's the point. So, what is a web component? Someone wants to answer but doesn't have the mic, right? So, I'm gonna answer for you. So, before we even dive, the question is actually what is a component? If I say, you know what is a component, you raise your hand. So there is a part of the room that doesn't know what is a component. And what does Wikipedia tell us? It's basically, a component is a piece of software that is encapsulated, extensible, composable, and reusable. Some people call that in software engineering a clear module. It has a behavior, and then it gives you an interface to interact with, right? There are a few keywords right there. You can see encapsulated, extensible, composable, reusable. Those are the four keywords. This thing has been around before the web even started, if you think about it. But we haven't used this concept in the front-end engineering, okay? Component for the web. Let's dive a little bit into that. So, if you want to build a component, a few years ago, I know some people see that and they feel like, oh, I've been doing that. It's okay, it's okay. That worked. And then you get basically AngularJS that came with directive. It was amazing. Don't do that. And then you get all these new frameworks, Vue, React. I didn't put Angular because there were no space and I had already AngularJS there, right? So you have those options. You had these options in the past. And now when you go back to this definition, you realize that all of them, they were actually approaching component that way. Okay, so if you take this framework, what is the component for each of these framework? I know the React people are about to say everything is a component, right? React, right? We good? Everything is a component. How about Vue.js? No? You don't have component there, right? No, I'm kidding, but you should have components everywhere. So the main part here is the fact that regardless of the framework that you use, the idea of a web component is like it should be about a component without being web component first. The interoperability is the most important part of what we're trying to do, okay? So now we move from component to web component. Web component, Wikipedia says a lot of stuff about it, right? So I'm not gonna read that for you. I'll give you 2 seconds. We good? Now I'm gonna highlight part of that definition that makes sense to all of us. So, web component. We have HTML and DOM specification. Yeah, it is just a specification. What does that mean? It means if you're able to implement a framework that respects those specifications, you're good to go. Then, it helps you build a set of reusable widgets. This is also something really important. Widget, we think component, we think reusable. We've done that all the time. Even though we have already tons of framework or component library, we keep rebuilding them all the time. Because we think, oh no, that one wasn't good. I'm gonna do that my way, because my way is better. And we end up rebuilding widget over and over. Those are web components without being web component, without being called web component, okay? But the most important part is the fact that software engineering has been around before the web was. And that's basically the same idea of component-based software engineering that is brought to front-end development, okay? So if I give you this and I ask you, how would you build that in jQuery? When I say jQuery, you guys feel like it's possible, right? You've been doing that before React appeared. You were doing it. Okay, I know. I'm saying I'm old, but we all did that at some point. Okay, this is a web component. But if I show you the code base of this and I ask you to pinpoint web component, you will be like, what are you talking about? Right? That's not a web component. That is just HTML, CSS, and tons of stuff. And I don't even know where is the nav bar. Okay, I like putting comments. You can see it right there. But we can do better. We can do better. What if we were to write that this way? Now we have something cleaner already. We know we have a nav bar, and that nav bar should represent just that. That is a component. There is something about that component that is not right. Someone can tell me?
Empty.
Empty? Well.
It doesn't seem self-contained. Or my API for interacting.
Okay, so someone got it right. It is a component, and it has clearly a behavior. So when you render that thing, it shows you that nav bar, but there is no way to interact with him. Okay? So, but it still serves the fact that we have something we can reuse. But yeah, we won't be able to change CSS and stuff like that. So that thing translates to this. Okay? So, which technology would you use to build this? Okay, just for the screen, someone said JavaScript, which is obvious, and hopefully we're in the JavaScript dev room, and thank you for your answer. Okay, let's push. Yeah, really, the question doesn't matter, or does it? It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter. So let me dive a little bit into the specification quickly. Specification, 4 things: custom element, shadow DOM, HTML template, and HTML import. We good? You don't know any of this? I have a resources page just for you, because we have 25 minutes. But one of the most important parts here is probably the custom element and shadow DOM. Okay, those are the 2 things I want you to pay attention to. So, how many people do JavaScript in the room? Everyone. We agree on that before we even started. Let's say HTML. Are you guys doing JavaScript without HTML? How about CSS? Now you're allowed not to do CSS when you do JavaScript, but not HTML. We good? So look, in just one question, I can prove you're all web component developer, because that's all you need to build web component. Forget about those React, Angular, and Vue.js. That's all you need to build a web component. And yes, if you use things like Polymer frameworks and stuff like that, you're using this thing out of the box without any fanciness or things like that to make your code look React or Vue.js-ish. So, my point with these slides is just to show you that before we dive into any framework, voila, you're all web component developer. So let's build web component. So how do you build custom element? If you can't read this code, raise your hand. And we're gonna have, you can't read it? Okay, we're gonna have a 101 at the end. Yeah, it's my goal to teach people JavaScript. So if you can't read that, talk to me at the end. I have a class that extends an HTML element. There is no transpiler here or any of this. It's just JavaScript, raw JavaScript. Your browser supports that. Then I have Windows custom element define app selector. And then I just pass the class that define that object, that element. And then I can use that this way in my app. And voila, we have a web component. That was difficult, right? But I'm still available after the talk, if you don't get that part, okay? So, a few points. Extend HTML element, custom element define, and then using it in the browser. Look, if we have that as the base, the fundamental to build web component, why can't you do that in Vue.js or React or Angular? Sure you can. You can literally reuse all these things and have your Vue and React component to be web component ready. So I'm gonna dive a little bit further. When you have the class, you get these life cycle hooks that helps you interact with the component when it enters the page and when it leaves the page. Well, it feels like in React we have something called component. Someone said did mount? You're right. And then component will unmount. Those are here. We're not inventing stuff. We're just reusing the same mechanism that exists out there. Okay? And then you have this life cycle, and you can even go further. For example, here I want to track that attribute, disable attribute. I'm just using a class. I have observable attribute, and then I'm tracking this disable thing here. And then when it's disabled, okay, it just returns the get. When I put the attribute, I just read as attribute, and the this here refers to the element on the page. So far, so good. Okay, and you can see how I use it right there. Just pass disable there, and then I have my component working. So there are a few other things you can add on top of custom element. The fact that you can extend native components. You have an image, you can just say, I'm extending an image and I'm adding my own features on top of it. People, you've been doing that already. If you use Angular directives, things like that, you take a component and you start adding more property on it. You've been doing that already. Observing change to attributes, well, bindings, you've been doing that as well already with your frameworks. Progressive web apps, it's a long story short, but literally progressive web apps with web component, you kind of get that, okay, today it's kind of free just to get this behavior with web component. And the other two things are not really the most important part here, but custom element is one of the fourth, and it's probably the most important part of them. Then shadow DOM. Anyone shadow DOM? Like you want to say something about it, and I will just repeat that? You wanted to say what?
It's DOM that is shown but not part of the document DOM visible by document queries element selector or something.
Okay. You get that there? Yeah, very good. So I don't have to repeat that, but just a long story short, if you see the shadow DOM will look something like this. So you get your HTML DOM, but really pay attention to that. HTML is up here, and then this is the entry point, the closing point, and then I have my component that we're going to build in a few minutes, and then I have this shadow route here. So basically there I get a kind of DOM within the DOM. Oh, okay, a DOM within the DOM. So one of the main rules here is the fact that your CSS style will be encapsulated within that DOM here. So the linking process saying like you have a CSS file that is general and you put it on the top, don't do that. And then you expect it to pass all the CSS down the page, don't do that. But obviously with Shadow DOM, this is something you don't get anymore, and it's good because it helps you think in terms of component. Okay, so let me just go back here quickly. Shadow DOM, self-contained, scope CSS, possibility to write a more declarative code. It helps you focus on just CSS in one component, right? So if you use those rules, you start building more focused component. So the other two, HTML template and HTML import, I put that in the resources because we only have 25 minutes. So now, and actually only 10 minutes left. Look, platform support, where are we? It's green. Do it every day from now. But I need to show you quickly how you will do it. But it's green. Yeah, don't look here, right? But it's green. Okay? They're doing it. Okay? That part is really important before we dive a little bit into a bit of code. So, benefits, I'm just gonna put them right here. Interoperability, lifespan, portability. Portability is really important. You can reuse that and mix them everywhere you want. Those slides, you're gonna have them, so I need to push a little bit. So, the framework war. Look, the greener you are here, the closer you are to the standard. So, Polymer, Skate.js, Xtag, and there are other web framework-friendly framework out there that are already doing it. Angular is the most advanced of these three because it gives you already tools that you go directly to web component. React is a bit red-ish, but I'm going to show you a way to get it a bit greener than that. So, move on here. So, I think I only have like 8 minutes, maybe less than that. Let me jump into the demo because I feel like we're gonna miss on something. So, this is an Angular app. You see a component here. That's an Angular app. I want you to recognize some bit of code that is used here. Remember the create custom element we saw before? And then we have custom element define this thing here. And then you will end up with this pop-up element that you can now use in your code as just a tag pop-up element. Okay? I'm going to show you how you will use that in a code in another app in a few seconds. But I want you to see this one. Not this one yet. Yeah, component React. So this one will be much easier to digest. So I have a simple example right here. So it's not React related, it's literally JavaScript. Yeah, it's React, but I get a tool here, an NPM module called React Web Component. It's not really well maintained, but it was already doing the job before even everyone thought about it at some point. So you have this component, but instead of saying I'm gonna start the project I'm gonna mount it in the DOM, I'm just building it. Can you see it? I'm just gonna put the theme maybe white. Is it better? Yeah. So React Web Component.create. I'm inside the React app. This is a small component. It just does hello FOSDEM, right? And then I have my component. What do I do with that? I go inside my index.html, and I just put my component there. But that's a small app. That is literally a small app. If I run that, you will be like, that's too simple. But it does already the job. Like you get a component out of that, and your component end up being, you expect something that I didn't give him? Yeah, I was trying to do this one. Web component, React. Yeah, this one, and let's do that again. Thanks for your help. So push. Okay, so this is a small app, but I'm gonna show you with a bigger app how I can turn an entire app into a web component and reuse that somewhere else. So look, hello FOSDEM, I know you're disappointed, but it's there. It does the job. But look, this is the code that took us there. If you keep the same idea, let me kill that app and open a beautiful app that we built just for you. So a few hours ago, we thought like Netflix wasn't doing a great job of shipping us movies, so we decided to rebuild it. I'm not kidding, it was a true thing. And then, if you go inside this Netflix app, I'm gonna go back here. I have my app in here. This is the entry point of my app. As you can see, I'm just like, hey, React Web Create. I get the app, and then I turn that into my Netflix component. Okay. So if I go here and I run that app, because I still have 3 minutes, I should be able to see something that looks pretty cool. Yep, coming. Yeah, I just killed some stuff here, so let me bring that back. So someone said I just need to import. Yeah, from React DOM. No, 2 minutes. So it's called React. Okay, let me look at my computer, and that will be much better. React DOM, and I think I should just do that this way, and then keep it this way. Say again? Oh. Perfect, people. Love you. So let's go back here, and then we should have. Thank you very much. Well, we have some problem. No worries. Still have 2 minutes, so let's make sure that this works. So slow down. It's gonna be fine. So if we say React DOM, what he wants? He's saying that. Yeah, indeed. You need to tell him, like, instead of doing that, let me put it a div here. Thank you, sir. And then you say ID should be root. Now, if we go back here, yeah, that thing works. Thank you. So the style is broken, but that's because I turned that into a web component, so I kind of reversed the thing and the style got broken. But look what is happening here. I need this thing to run the app. So if you remove that part, and then I go back here, just say, use this instead, and go back inside my app. Look, my app is literally this huge component. It's this component with all the logic here. It knows where to get the data and stuff like that. So if I go back here, and then make sure that I run my app, the import, thank you. Accept that. There is another one. This is what happens when you do live coding. But this thing here, it is just a web component. That's it. So if you take If you take that code, I just turn that into a web component.